Well, this was obviously the period when Malak really took over as the coach, and then they went back to Shox as the in-game leader, right? We have to talk a little bit about that, Malak, because one of the weird things about Shox is he's done this so many times in his career where what happens is he has an in-game leader that he plays with and it's going great, but then when the results start to get bad, because in all his teams he always likes to be someone who at least gets to have some input, be like the secondary caller, we say it in English, if you have a good idea, you just throw it out there, let's say like every 5 rounds maybe you say something like, actually I think we could do this instead, or I've seen this in the game. Well, what happens is the people who do that, they get almost like addicted where, because they're only calling the round that makes sense to them, they start to think, actually, I should just be the in-game leader. Like, oh, my calls are great. Like, the other guy's calls are failing, but whenever I make a call, it works. And what they don't realise is, that's because they have the option on the rounds where they don't know anything and just sit back and listen to that guy. Like, they don't have the pressure of every round, So Shox has obviously tried to be an in-game leader many times. I know when you came in as the coach, you had like a different approach with him, right? Like, he wasn't just totally loose, totally like I remember you were telling me you kind of like had a deal where like he would do some of it and then like Amanek would do some of it or something to implement your ideas. Can you explain it to us?
Basically, we needed to go forward, and we decided, and basically Shox didn't ask to be the in-game leader, just so you know. But we decided that we needed to move forward, and I was looking mid-term, long-term, like G2 needed to come back and compete. And on the French scene, I needed to find a core, and like, for some reasons, I've been asking Richard, like, can we work together? Can I make sure that you have help? And actually, Amanek did great. Actually, for the story, like, even in ESL Pro League, when we had a great run in Montpellier, I think we went finals.
Yep.
Amanek was the leader, not Shox. So I've been asking and putting a bit of pressure on Richard because I just thought he was having qualities, and I needed to bring these new guys. I've been bringing a couple of ones, Amanek, Jax, Lucky, and trying like to build something new. And like I needed to move forward, basically.
Yes.
Like that was the thing. And so he said yes. That was not so easy. We had like some struggles because I really think he would have been happier having a great leader. Somehow we needed to move forward from existence for some results. Who can do the job at this moment? Shox is a smart guy. If I work well with him, and if Amanek is helping, we can maybe start from there, and we will see how it goes. So yeah, like basically that was the toughest part, honestly. Just get the things rolling and start the process and see what we will need, and just move forward. And what do we need? And move forward. And what do we need? And like build up. And the core is creating. And now an identity will get out of it. And then you can rely on some people. And then you are like, and nowadays I feel really well in my team, and I know what I expect from each individual, and I know why I have this person or the other person and whatever. But I needed to start from somewhere. So it's a bit clashing with the fact that I actually join you on this one. I didn't maybe wish, oh, super cool, I really want Shox to lead. And him either. But we needed to start from somewhere. So for this reason, we did it, actually. If it makes sense. I don't know if it's clear enough. If you have questions, I don't know. But
question to you, Duncan. Don't you agree that Shox should have called? Or would you have seen him not being a caller, rather?
The problem is, it depends on what he wants for his game. Here's my problem with Shox as an in-game leader. If he can tell me he'll be the in-game leader, but then also in the server he's going to be the Shoxy you were talking about before, like one of the best players in the world, like win all the clutches, I don't mind, let's make it work. Like, I'll find a way to get the players to make it work. The problem I had was at this period of time is when his individual game was also kind of lost a little bit. And so doing both at the same time, if you're not a really, really great in-game leader, that's the tough part for me. It's like, you're going to kind of just be like, okay at both parts, So that's the tough part. Like, if you're like, it's actually one of the problems I have with Nico and FaZe. It's like, he did the playing part great, like, yeah, playing amazing, but he never got, it's like, that's the tough part. That's why I personally don't think star players should usually be in-game leaders. I think it's a very rare person that can do both at the same time, What do you think?
I'm interested in knowing Walegi, I think. Because we don't know the same guys. Let's move away from the French scene. What is your take on
what do you think?
Can a star player do? Because what is Tapsen not a star player?
Objectively speaking, if I'd ask you who should be the next French in-game leader after existence 5 years ago, who would you say it should be? Would you say it was Shoxy, or do you think like MPK? I don't know. For me, it would directly be Shoxy. Why? Overall, most well-rounded player,
Sure.
insanely smart, and you can see in his game that he's a very, very smart person.
I know where you're going now, mate. Here's the
me.
problem. This is the tough part. This is why, like, actually, you do have to kind of like know some of the people behind the scenes to know how they think. The problem with Shoxy is this, right? This is going to sound rude. Whatever. It's my entire fucking persona, so I'm good at it, right? If you watch him in the server, like you're watching him play a clutch round, or you're watching him, like the classic used to be, whenever they would play DOS 2 T-side, he would just go mid and he would always make the perfect read. He would always catch the flanker, he would kill the guy at catwalk, he would rotate, like he looked like he was just a chess master. But the problem is, if you ever talk to him, he's not actually doing all that like calculated. He's not thinking like, right, at this timing there's going to be it's just feel. He has the best intuition I have ever seen in CS. So the problem with that is, if you're just going off your feel, it's going to be hard to explain to the other players why they should do something this time. It's going to be hard to set up a structure, you know, like you're kind of just in the moment. It's like artist versus scientist, if you get my analogy.
But don't you think it's a good, how would I call it?
Starting place?
It's a good quality.
It's a good quality to
Of
have.
course, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
but there's another problem I got to chuck in.
I will be the bridge. I will be the bridge guy in these two things because I know Shox.
Why I say? Oh, sorry. Keep going.
I can be the bridge between you guys because you are both right somehow. I think the set of quality that Thorin you are talking about is actually great for a leader to feel the game. But like that doesn't mean that the guy will have the capacity of communication of of the consistency to like think for not himself but the other guys or like if you want the guys to perform well, you will have pre-game maybe to okay guys I would like to go this way or do these things or whatever, and to get the most of his players basically. And if it's just out of the feeling and it's just happening on the server in game, this is like difficult for the other guys to follow up, because even though he's super smart, even though his calling is great, because bro, on TeamSpeak I'm listening, I'm like, okay, this is a good call, like many times. And I have Nexa, I had Shox, I had Happy, I had Existence. Shox did amazing calls, but people have to understand follow up. You are out of timing, and then also the patience, because he will maybe not understand why they don't understand what I want, why they don't catch it. Like so, it's also another set of qualities. Understanding that other guys are not on the same level of you on the understanding and are not clicking it directly. So basically, the set of quality Shox has, it's a great asset for a leader. But if you don't have the rest of the package to actually like make it something that you can share and prepare and like actually go forward, it's making things difficult. And if you are not that patient, how do you do with this set of quality? I don't know what you think about Allegia, but it's
for me, to answer the question, should a star player be an in-game leader? I think there's different. It's depending on what kind of star player are you. I think Shoxy is a well-rounded star player, like all-rounder. He can just basically do anything. But on the other side, like if I take a star player like Nico or Simple, who I think that have way other stronger qualities than being like communicating with the team too much or like moving players or mid-round calling or whatsoever. I think these players that are superstar players, have a way different role. And now if I say, for example, Shoxy, you have everything that the in-game leader needs to have. He has anything. He will have the most respect from every single player that he has in his team, which is a very, very important thing and very hard to call if you don't have a trust from every player. He has been mid-round calling, which is another very important thing. Means he has communication skills. He reads the game well. He has everything. And plus, whilst you mid-round call, obviously you're also focusing on the game and trying to play chess with your opponent, which means he did frag whilst mid-round calling or being the second caller, which means he can also obtain his individual performance if he's the in-game leader. So I think he's one of these star players that I would say he can be the in-game leader. Another guy who I could consider or say that he should or could call in future is Flusher.
Yes.
Just by And
No.
I think I put these two guys in the kind of same box-ish.
Yes.
I think he did with
Yeah.
Cloud9 a bit, huh?
Flushler did it a little bit with Cloud9,
I
and he
think
also
he
did it, if you remember, when Pronax left and they had those like tournaments they won in a row before all off dropped off. He was doing it a bit there. No, here's the thing. I know what you mean. He's a rare example who could do it. Here's the other issue, though, because it kind of ties into what Malik was saying. This is another problem, is Shox is another person. Remember, it wasn't just Happy. A lot of those guys, when they had the loose style, they also didn't like to do like hard work outside the server. Like Shoxy wasn't going to watch like 10 demos for every game and stuff. You know, he was going to watch a couple. He knows the basics. And another problem is, like Malik's saying, maybe in the moment he has exactly the right call. But the problem is, let's say, for example, let's take this lineup that they had here. Let's say someone like Jax, who actually barely ever played at the top level, or a Body himself only a couple of years in the game. Maybe they don't know what the call means, though. Like, they don't like. It's like if I tell you, "Oh, go and get me this." It's like if you know where the shop is and what the item is and how to get. Like, okay, easy. But if you don't know all those things, I'm taking for granted that you know how to go and get me that thing. So another problem is, if you've ever heard Shox when he gives like the pre-game speech. If I get in Your Boy God B or I get in Existence, right, their pre-game speech is like a football coach. It's like, right, guys, here's what I want you to focus on this map. Like, we're going to have to watch out for them rotating at this area. Like, let's try and work slow at this. Like, Shox's pre-game speech was like a hype speech. It was like, right, hey guys, like, let's all be on the same page. Like, let's fight together. Like, you know, let's keep energy up. And like, that's good, but like, that's not going to help you with the tactics necessarily. You know, that's like for feeling. That's for like atmosphere. You know. Yeah. I agree. Basically, if he'd had like the work ethic where he just wanted to change tomorrow and only be an in-game leader, I'm sure Malik could help him learn these skills, but he also never did this thing for a long time. If you notice, he tends to be an in-game leader for like 6 months and then someone else takes over again. So this is a topic that we brought up many times on this show, but if you want to go tactically, there's a reason why the great in-game leaders have done that role for like 10 years, and they tend to have like 1 or 2 teammates they keep together for a long time. It's like, it just makes it easier to update the playbook and to keep it going, etc. You know.
The thing we don't say is like he also needs to want to do it. Sometimes you don't really want to do it. You think you want, but you don't really.
I don't accept that. I don't accept that. If I am a Shox, I would not. I don't accept that I call myself Shox and I don't have the balls to say I have to be this person that has to lead the next French best team. I'm sorry. If you're Shox, you have to be this guy. You have to. Sooner or later, you have to.
I know what you mean, Ligia.
It was not his time. It's like in football. Like I think, like there will be always this next guy who will have to lead the next generation or the next team.
They are in Vitalic now. I think he's having a big voice. He's not officially leading.
Yes.
Apex is a hard worker. He's like, I don't know him well enough on CSGO, so I don't want to talk too much. But I know he's a hard worker that is always here. He will not like just fade away or something. He will be here for his team. He is a fighter. Okay, that I know. And Shox can also brings all his set of qualities with him. Also having all of his callings, it seems to fit him better. He also maybe wants to focus on his game, and right now, I don't know. I just speak with him right now.
No, I just did a show recently with Apex. What you're saying is correct. Yeah,
showing up, and I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that a lot of calling mid rounds can come from him right now. Like actually, so about the title, like I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm biased because I know him, and I don't want to say everything, but like he needs to want to do it. It needs to be one of his own objectives, because maybe he's not like this, you know. He's just like, I mean, it's also a thing. And as Thorin said, when you are like a momentum-based guy, bro, this guy could carry a momentum. That was insane. That's insane. Like I've been witnessing things. I'm like, okay, that's just next level shit. But when he's on a bad day, you don't like to be on the sideline coaching. It's not fun at all.
Of course, yes.
You have nothing getting out of it, and you wait the next day. Literally, you can't do shit. Like it's just like, and it's too much like this. But as a secondary caller, when you have the choice, every time you have the momentum, if the teammates trust you, Apex is here to put the structures, Zayu is there, and Shox is doing his thing, seems to work better now.
Like
happier, actually.
What I want to say, by the way, also is I don't say that Shoxy has to be the in-game leader, and I don't say Shoxy will be the best England leader or will be a very good England leader. I just say, because right now I think he's playing a very, 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 very good Counter-Strike right now in his role that he's playing, and it might be better than, or he might have in this role more impact than as an England leader. But I want players like Shoxy to be these guys because they all have all these qualities and they will have all what they need as a very good England leader, all the respect and whatsoever. They have that, and that's why I want them to step up, like stand out and just do it. But obviously, you have to want to do it to make it happen.
Yes.
Really, because I think he has the quality and he could be the best England leader the French maybe even ever had if he wants to do it.
Yeah, but I guess willing is part of it. And it's funny because what you said about him before we actually went with him, I think I talked to him like you are talking now, bro. I was like, bro, we have to make it work, bro. You are like smarter, you understand everything.
You
like,
he's sort of a player you want it for him. You want it because in the end, if you imagine it isn't the next step, you carry on someone's legacy and make it even higher, maybe make it even better than a guy who's like existence, who everyone will speak like even in 10 years people will mention existence as one of the best England leaders in the world.
Yes.
But you as Shoxy, you have the quality to be even better than this person. You have learned from him and you can master his game even more. So
here's the thing, Lagia. I know what you mean, but it's also the difference between being, you know, the famous thing that people say where it's really easy to give other people advice, but it's really hard to make the same advice that you even give them in your own life.
Yes.
Because, you know, you look at everyone else and you're like, oh, dude, if you just do this, if you do... So I'll give you a great example from 1.6. Back in CS 1.6, even though Forrest was like one of the most godlike players ever, there would sometimes be like whole 3-month period where he was just like, not much motivation. Mm-hmm. And he's just only playing the official games. He's only playing the scrims. He's not warming up. He's not doing DM. Like, in fact, if you went and looked, he'd be playing like fucking Dota or like Quake 3 or something. And the sad thing is, mate, he'd go to the tournament and he'd still either be like good or occasionally very good or just okay. He was never bad ever for 1 second in his whole career. But if you're someone like me or you, mate, I'm pretty sure we only got where we are in life by like hard work, like you grind, you improve. Like if we just fucked around like we were some rock stars, like no one would ever hear from us again. We'd just disappear. So to people like us, it's like, dude, if I had those skills, I'd rule the fucking world. Like, so I know what you mean. If I see Shox, I'm like, of course. Like if I had his skill set, I'd put in like 2 years, dedicate myself, and then, because what I would be thinking is, if I learn the tactical side of how to run a team and combine it with like my feel for the game and what they put, I'm unbeatable. But as we say, you have to want to do that. Like if you're just, one of the other things about the French scene that you have to learn when you come into it is people like Shoxy, Kenny S. Dude, they're like unicorns. They're just like mythical creatures that you just see in the distance and no one knows how they operate, how they work. What you do is you go up to them and you go, shh, come here. You bring them a little carrot, and then when they come over, you try and stroke them, and then you go up. Listen, if you go too hard though, they run away again. If they run away, there's only 2 of them in the whole world, mate. Like, well, there's Zero now. There's 3. So listen, if they get away, then you're fucked at that point. You got to be really careful with these guys. What do you think, Malek?
But yeah, like I think we talked a lot about all these guys, and they have this image, but they were building it in CSS already, and the beginning of CSGO, they have great image and everything. We know something about of them, and to get to know them, you need to just live with them and see how it is, and it's different.
Yes,
it's very different to what you can imagine or anything. Everything is true about the talent they have, how they are. Like you can see that, and how many times I said myself, bro, if I would have this quality myself,
of course, yeah,
the best. But no, it's not like this. Like they have their own ways, and being talented and thinking a lot, it's also making them. They are difficult. I know Shox is very difficult with himself. For example, he always had this very, very, very fucking high expectations of himself. So same, how he would deal with that, how he would deal with himself, how he live with things. That's his part of the package. Maybe people don't see it from the outside. Even you that see him on the tournament at the bar, they are playing against him, but he is all his life since I know him, 15 years old. This guy thinking like it's going very fast up there, bro. And once you notice that more closer, and you have to sort out what he can do or wants to do or not. And anyway, I just think he's happier right now. Maybe someday later on he will go back to it. I don't know at all.
Sure.
But I don't expect him, actually. Unfortunately,
He should do
I'm
what he
very
wants to
sorry.
do.
I
It's
don't
fine
see
for
him.
me.
I don't
It's
see
fine
him
for
doing
me.
it.